just tuned in to the AST Space Odyssey podcast, the ultimate destination for AST SpaceMobile insights and ASTS stock breakdowns.
What is going on, Space Mob? Welcome back to another episode of the AST Space Odyssey podcast. Very glad to be back here. It's been a few weeks. Had a nice extended vacation. Tried to take some time off from the stock market and research and such. It's a good time. Seems like every time I go on vacation, AST rips too. Literally right before it dipped to 37, and then all of a sudden, now like 60 something. Insane. Shout out to Red Rum, by the way, for that intro. Very sick. That's all. It's very cool stuff he does for the Space Mob and providing good content and helping it make its way around. So today we're just going to be diving in to all this recent stuff and specific like official PR that has come out from AST SpaceMobile. I think it's been like an insane run. Like this summer through September so far has just been insane. Very, very exciting time for shareholders in this company as we finally start to see some progress here. And we've seen a lot of like speculation and we've seen a lot of progress getting military contracts and stuff. But the one thing that people have always really doubted here was when our launches. And that started to get people pretty impatient because when you have like a lot of money in this and a lot of the new comers here or like just traders overall, and the shorts love to pile on when they just pile on to there's no launch, like when's launch coming. And as you know, like with the space business, this is such an important part of it all that they kind of had to get it those dates out, and since it's just been ripping. I mean, it's up like another 10% at 63, which is another all-time high. It's glad to see. It's glad to see like our research of the Space Mob and kind of everyone's contributions pay off, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, and the community that is like built among this stock is amazing, and we should all be rewarded because we all have done our research on a high speculative stock, and we know it's going to pay off. So with this said, we're just going to go through some of this new PR here. Obviously, the main one here is that AST SpaceMobile tweeted a couple days ago that Bluebird 6 has completed final assembly and is testing and is ready for a flight, and that on October 12th, it's going to head over to India for launch. And then they also included another one that Bluebird 7 is expected to ship to Cape Canaveral launch site in October. So who knows which we will see first. I mean, they're both shipping in October, so it's just going to depend on the launch companies from there. And everything's still on track. That like once they start every 1 to 2 months, they have figured out how to get these ready for this, and they got the testing down, the production. These you got to remember how large these are. That's the thing. Is like, okay, the last Bluebirds, yeah, we did like 1 through 5 all at the same time. We shipped them all and sent them all and kind of made them together. But these things are like so much larger here that they take time to build, time to test. So as we go forward, we're just gonna become a manufacturer for these insanely large, and once it kind of large arrays, and once this does get like streamlined, they're just gonna be pumping them out nonstop. Satellite here, satellite there, sending them. They already have like all these shipments kind of paid for and in the books, and so once they just keep making these and sending them, they're just going to be going up. And by the year end 2026, which now that we're in September, it doesn't feel too far, because like it's going to be 2026 in a few months, and then 2026 is just going to be full of launches, and 45 to 60, then you got full coverage in the United States and Canada and Mexico and parts of Europe. So once that kicks off, that's where the fun is. And then they just kind of dive into, we partnered with 50 mobile network operators serving 3 billion subscribers, and that these are the largest commercial satellites ever deployed in low Earth orbit, and that they can reach peak speeds of 120, which per cell, which is just it's going to be so amazing once these are all up and people have real life examples of these high speed videos and high speed content while being connected to a satellite. So like that's just good to see. I think that really silenced a lot of the shorts and doubters, because people are like, oh, it's just getting delayed month after month. Like something must have happened in manufacturing. They must be falling behind. But something like this takes time. And I think that's what investors or even traders in the stock need to kind of just hold on to and always remember, is that this is a once in a lifetime thing here. And these things are so large and fragile and need to be like built so perfectly, because if you think about what they're doing, and with these contracts with the government, do you think the government's going to want to sign contracts if we send up satellites that were put together in a couple days? And anything that would happen to them when they're in space, if they're built quickly or poorly, would just end up costing us more money and be less reliable. So I think the network infrastructure that we're building here, we want to be unstoppable with the full coverage. And I think also with these government contracts kind of really rolling in and kind of going to continue to do so, I think it's just important that we have a product that is stellar, and a product that won't break, and a product that can serve the government for all of their use cases that they wish. So if they're still on track for this many by the end of next year, they can take their time to make sure they get these right. Because once these are up and tested, they can kind of really start accelerating. And if you see how many people they're hiring, like in this photo here, where they're all together in the factory with the satellites, there are substantially more people than like the last pictures with the satellites. I remember like some of the first ones having like 20 people, and they're just on ramp, hiring, building these, buying land, expanding. And that's what you like to see as a shareholder. You like to see them expand, use their resources. So like once these do start pumping up and launching, they can just keep going till full connectivity. If always have them ready and always keep the technology advancing, which is what they're going to do. This is a high engineering, very brilliant mind project. And they're not just going to stop as they get these satellites up. They're going to just keep looking to improve every aspect of it, whether this is the government or the service and speeds. So we're in it for a ride. And like by 2030, the quality of service this thing is going to provide is going to be unstoppable. And we don't really know. It could, like, we can see plenty of more use cases pile up. We have a long time, and the technology's up and proven, and it can be proven and manufactured to do pretty much whatever they want eventually. So very exciting. Then this morning, like after a 16% day yesterday, we're like, okay. And then I remember like it ran one of the days 15%, then like a day or two later it was down like 10%. So you never know. Sometimes we get these pops. I feel like it has a lot of traders and just a lot going on with the order book. So I do think people like to trade like that. Like, oh, it's up 15% this day. Let's short it. Let's get puts. And then it falls 10%. Then they pile back in. So it's hard to tell with a momentum driven stock like this. But as like the OGs just buy and wait, we can kind of see why this momentum was coming. And I think that's something good to note, is that to stay ahead of the curve and like the research the Space Mob does, I think a lot of us do stay in front of the curve. We kind of see these moves coming. When it dips, we buy. When it rips, we keep buying. So with this morning's kind of another post, is that another day, another successful broadband connection from space. I think with that, they're kind of flexing a little, like another day, another new thing, which you love to see. Together with our strategic partner Bell, we have achieved Canada's first ever space 4G Volt LTE voice call, broadband data connection, and video streaming using everyday smartphones. With rollout plan for 2026, the successful demonstration in New Brunswick brings us closer to delivering reliable, high-speed mobile broadband for Canadians everywhere, even in the hardest to reach areas. And I've gone hiking in Canada, and not much service out there. So I think a lot of Canadians are going to like this. And I think a lot of them will buy this because there's still a lot of remote places up in Canada. And especially with like the trucking business and all the industries up there that are kind of just stranded out in the middle of nowhere. So once you get to like northern Canada, there's really not many big cities or many people, which means no towers. So I think getting all these established in all these different countries is just very cool. Having like Vodafone be the European, seeing like AT&T and Verizon here testing this and seeing it's working, having Rakuten in Japan, and now we have like Canada on board. They're all testing this, and I think it really shows a lot that like this is technology that works everywhere in the world, and this will work for any company in any country. And I think that's a very very valuable service because like even like AT&T and other companies here in America, it's like they're not really serving these foreign markets, and they're worth a lot and they make a lot of money. But when you can really open up to the whole world in terms of whether it's connection, whether it's in terms of like the first net solutions like we're seeing in Singapore, it's very unique business structure because we can operate anywhere and we can pull in revenue from any country. And once this does kind of get implemented in like South America, like we saw the CEO of American Mobile is like super bullish on AST and like loading up when his funds. And it's like, okay, we're just seeing all these different parts of the world kind of come together, being able to connect to space from these satellites. And that's very exciting. And the more countries that we do sign on, it's just more bullish and just makes this thing kind of more concrete and more, it just really makes it kind of a, a monopoly in a way. Because I mean, Starlink also can operate, but once you really do have this high speed internet everywhere and people are seeing and comparing speeds to those satellites from their phones, it's going to be an obvious choice. And I think this is how ASD slowly just takes over the globe. And it's going to be very, very fun to see. And I think that's kind of why the market hops onto this because there hasn't been much like testing news in a while. And then you see like Bell Canada, which is one of their biggest mobile carriers up there. And then it's like, okay, that DA is probably also coming from them if they're testing successfully with us. The Verizon DA is coming soon. All this stuff is lining up, and it kind of seems like the haters have just been silenced over and over again. Like, we got this big money chest that we wanted. The technology is working with all these different brands. The FCC approvals are rolling in, and we got these launch campaigns ready to go. And confirming them is going to be coming very soon. Like on October 12th, we'll start probably see a post of them being shipped off. And over, and we're seeing like Verizon and these filings and stuff, and over, like the people who do pile on this and are short this just kind of get proved wrong because ASD is kind of unstoppable right now. And I couldn't think of why you would want to short this based off just who we're partnered with alone and the US government being behind this. It just really doesn't make sense. People can try to post it and sway people, but it never makes sense to me because this is something that I see just as we've seen, like they've evolved from a $2 stock and a small company into this like massive company in Texas right now, while the CEO has sold no shares. It's pretty remarkable what they're doing, and we're lucky to be here. So a few other little updates. Barclays, after this launch campaign, they raised their price target to 60 from 37, which is a really, really big price target, especially with like Scotiabank kind of like backed off the last rally. That looks really silly now. But it's good to see like as we get this like concrete PR and progressing that they start upgrading price targets. And as these starts getting launched and as these campaigns happen, we're gonna see all these big banks and probably more hop on start saying, oh my gosh, like this is legit. Because this is still kind of a low key stock here. And once people start seeing like these ads and like it working perfectly and the revenue that they're bringing in from this profit sharing model, they're going to be very mind blown and the price targets are going to go up. Institutional investments, I think with all the launches, it kind of de-risks the stock a lot because there is kind of that overhang that we've been seeing where it's like, oh, they were going to launch in May. Oh, they were going to launch in June. Oh, July. Oh, it's probably in September with SpaceX again. But now it's confirmed and they're going to keep happening. And I think that alone is going to scare the shorts and drive this thing up more, while we see institutions also lead on here. But like, as I always say, with the stock price, it doesn't really even matter until the mission's done, until like full connectivity everywhere, government using this for use cases. Hopefully, we're making billions from both. And that's when like the eye-opening moment will be for the stock. And we're still in pretty low here, so we just have to like seeing this thing kind of fluctuate around. It's probably, I don't know, at 20 billion right now, which would be cool. But it's just really, it's a fun. Oh yeah, we're at 22.9 billion. That, like, I looked, I don't know, a week or two ago, and it's back at 15, and you're like, huh. And that's when it's a good time to buy, as always. Like, for the first time ever in the history of like holding a stock, I finally made some profit, and I pretty much used the profit to only buy some new shares, cover a little of vacation while I was away, and then get shares, because once it dips to 37, and that was like off of like the Elon Starlink buying the spectrum, and it never really made sense because we're buying Ligado, which a lot of people think is worth $20 billion, and seeing AST at $20 billion, it's like, okay, if they're getting the spectrum that's worth this much, AST can at least double from here, at least. And the Starlink requiring that spectrum, I think it just validates this whole picture more, because AST is ahead of the curve and they're getting these spectrums. Our MNOs are going out and getting Verizon, AT&T, and obviously they're going to let us use them, at least for their services. So you kind of saw, and we saw like Verizon's also interested in like acquiring some of EchoStar, and you really see like a kind of domino effect here of these companies saying, was AST right to get this Ligado? And it seems like they're copying, which isn't a bad thing either. I think it just validates our move, but it's cool to see like these companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars looking at a little $15 billion company and saying, "Wow, what a smart move, acquiring Spectrum." And then they go ahead and start doing it. So it just kind of shows you that the minds are here at AST SpaceMobile. The engineering is there, and we're just gonna keep the ball rolling. And with Legato like kind of unofficially getting kind of like approved, now we just got to kind of wait for FCC. But it seems like the judge is all good with, like, completely good with it getting passed to us, so it seems like we're good on that front. And we're gonna have that, and then we're gonna have all these launches line up here, beta services coming. And the thing with this stock, just gotta wait it out. Just wait it out, enjoy the ride, because the ride is fun. There's nothing that gets a heartbeat going. Seeing what it hit 34 today, and it was at like 37. Nothing like seeing almost a $30 stock change. Some of those people out there with giant portfolios were probably like, "What?" Like, that's a big change in a short little amount of time. But it just shows you, when the new good news and these big contracts and things do start coming in, like, this thing can be sent into the stratosphere. And I think that should be the goal of all the Space Mob members. Obviously, it's your money. You can sell whenever you want. But I think a lot of us are in it for the long range here. And if you see the long-term goal here and like all these things lining up, there's nothing that would even makes you want it. So appreciate you guys listening in. We plan to keep bringing these back pretty frequently, especially when there's like these big PR releases, launches coming up. I hope they invite us, because I would love to go down to one and meet some of you guys, maybe interview some of you guys, just hang out. But the movement stays strong. All the content coming out, all the SpaceMod members is killer. Just so much information about one single stock here. We're all keep those thinking caps on. And make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next episode. Appreciate you guys all tuning in to the AST Space Odyssey podcast.